Hello everybody, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Future Zoologist Academy. Today we're going to be exploring one of the most colorful and adorable fish that we find near coral reefs. This fish also happens to have a very strange set of teeth inside of their mouth. Today we're learning all about parrotfish. Let's get into it. Parrotfish are a family of fish with about 95 different species. We usually find them in the ocean, in oceans like the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and the Indian Ocean. We find them in warm, shallow, tropical environments like in coral reefs. Parrotfish are named for those unusual teeth we mentioned before. Their teeth are fused together or joined together to create a very strong tooth on the top and a very strong tooth on the bottom that kind of looks like a parrot's beak. And these very strong teeth are important because it allows them to eat their favorite food, algae. Most parrotfish are herbivores or plant eaters, although what they're really eating is algae, which is kind of like an underwater plant. They use their very sharp teeth, their very strong teeth, to scrape algae off of surfaces like on rocks or on corals. And sometimes when they're scraping off that algae, they also take pieces of the rock or coral with it. And now this might seem like it would be bad for the coral. It's actually really helpful for the coral. When a thick layer of algae grows on top of coral, it makes it hard for the corals to get the energy they need to grow and survive. So when parrotfish come in and they scrape off that algae, even if they take a little bite of the coral along with it, they're freeing the coral from that layer of algae, allowing it to get more energy, which helps it to survive. The hard skeleton of corals and some of those rocks that the parrotfish accidentally eat as well get ground up in their belly, come out the other end as a fine white sand. Some of the beautiful white sand beaches that are found where parrotfish live are actually made mostly of parrotfish poop. Also, like parrots, parrotfish have bright, beautiful colors. And scientists used to think that there were hundreds of different species of parrotfish because parrotfish from the same species can actually look very different from each other. Juvenile parrotfish, or young parrotfish, often look different than the adults, and the adults can even look different from each other. For many species, the males and females look completely different. And being colorful kind of seems like it could be a bad thing, right? It's a lot easier for a predator to find you if you have bright colors. So parrotfish have many different ways that they stay protected from those predators, even though they have bright colors. Remember we mentioned before that parrotfish live in and around coral reefs. And coral reefs provide all these great hiding places in the cracks and crevices for parrotfish and other small fish to hide from predators. And a lot of predators, like sharks, are too big to wiggle their way into those cracks and crevices, even if they found out where the parrotfish were hiding. Now, the cracks and crevices don't keep parrotfish protected from everybody. There are predators like eels and sea snakes that do have the ability to wiggle their bodies into all of those hiding places. So some parrotfish have a different, very strange way that they stay hidden. Some species of parrotfish produce a mucus bubble around their body, and let's talk about that word mucus for a moment. Mucus is like a slimy, gooey liquid that some animals produce from these little organs called glands. We produce mucus as well. Our boogers are a kind of mucus, but the mucus that parrotfish produce near their gills, they coat their whole bodies in it, kind of like a mucus sleeping bag, and scientists hypothesize that when they're wrapped in this mucus bubble, it hides their smell from potential predators, and it even helps protect them from parasites and other little pests. Now, while wrapping yourself in a giant booger blanket might sound a little bit gross, it's a pretty great way for some parrotfish to stay protected from predators. Now, while wrapping yourself in a mucus bubble might sound especially strange, there is something that they can do that is even stranger. Parrotfish have the ability to change sex. And what I mean by that is they can change from female to male. And while this might sound so crazy, there are some other fish that can do this as well, like clownfish and wrasses. So let's talk a little bit more about this for a moment. All parrotfish are born female, and most parrotfish are social. They live in a school with other parrotfish, and their schools are led by one dominant male. Now let's say that male gets gobbled up by a shark or an eel. What will happen then is the largest female, the most dominant female, will change and she will become a male. And that new male is now the dominant fish in the group. It will breed with the rest of the females so that they can produce eggs and continue to reproduce. Now, with all of these really strange things that parrotfish do, they all have a purpose, right? They're all important for the survival of the parrotfish. But unfortunately, many species of parrotfish are endangered. And one of the biggest threats that they face is overfishing. While there are many predators that like to eat parrotfish, there are lots of people that like to eat parrotfish too. Especially in the communities around coral reefs, there are lots of rules and regulations in place to make sure that the parrotfish do not get overfished. Many of those local communities recognize how important parrotfish are for the health of the coral reef that they rely on. Remember, we said before that as parrotfish eat algae, they keep the corals healthy, and we need corals to be healthy to have a healthy coral reef. But unfortunately, there are many places where parrotfish are overfished, and this is not only a problem for them, but for the reef as a whole. But fortunately, there are things that we can do to protect parrotfish, even if you don't live by a coral reef. Parrotfish are very common in aquariums, so if you have a home aquarium, don't purchase parrotfish to be included in your aquarium. There are other beautiful options to include instead. And if you ever do travel to a community near a coral reef, don't eat the parrotfish. Select a different item from the menu, something that's a little bit more sustainable and won't damage the coral reef. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like to learn more about parrotfish, more about the threats they face, how you can help, and if you'd like to do quizzes, activities, projects, and so much more, please visit that link below to check out our website, and I can't wait to see you at our next lesson.